acid won't work, right?
It's hard to trace. You don't want to use acid because that'll kind of
Baking soda?
not a good
Mm.
idea. Just a good open flame. Oh, hello. Welcome to another episode of It Hails from the Crypt. I'm your co-host, Frederick Schroeder, and I'm joined by my regular co-host,
Timothy Lochran, regular co-host.
checking in. And today we're talking about the Tales from the Crypt episode
Cutting cards.
Cutting Cards from
Cards.
April 21st, 1990 on HBO. It aired with two other episodes that day. It was a 3-episode day because it was the season 2 premiere. So we got all 3 of the previous episodes that we talked about, and this was the final one. And I love this episode. I think it's
fun.
great. One of my favorites so far.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
before we talk about that, let's go into the comic it was based on. This comes from Tales from the Crypt number 32 from 1952.
The Vault Keeper.
It's a Vault Keeper story written by Al Feldstein, who wrote, almost everything on these horror stories for EC, and drawn or illustrated by Fred Peters, who is not a regular EC artist. He only did a few EC stories, was mostly an animator, or was an animator before he came to EC Comics at Disney. He was a Disney animator, started in the 40s. He's from Oklahoma originally. Went to art school and then got in a car and moved out to Los Angeles to make his way as an artist in LA, and worked for Disney and specialized in Pluto, the character Pluto,
Love Pluto.
Mickey Mouse's dog.
Mm-hmm.
He animated over 100 Pluto shorts, which I didn't even know that there were that many just dedicated Pluto episode or animation shorts.
Yeah. So then he did the one with Pluto versus Chip and Dale inside a Christmas tree, which is the one that comes to my mind first when I think of Pluto.
I think so. I think if it was a Pluto short, he did them.
He tapped them all.
He
was an animal guy.
He tapped them all. He was specifically the Pluto guy. He also did Jiminy Cricket, and he also did, I guess, the elaborate animation in Bambi and the waterfall sequence is what he's known for.
Like the effects, waterfall effects?
Yeah, the waterfall animated effects. He did that. And I got to give a shout out to Lambic, the site. They have an encyclopedia on comics creators, and that's where I'm getting a lot of their
that's cool. Yeah.
information, which they're an interesting site. They're based in the Netherlands, and they're basically run by the oldest comic book shop in Europe, which is there in the Netherlands.
Shout out to the Netherlands.
Crazy, right?
We've got shout out to in the Netherlands, don't we?
I think we have some Netherlands, some Dutch listeners, I hope, who are staying faithful. Anyway, so Peters did these Pluto shorts. Then he moved to New York to open his own animation that did not do well. And so that led him to get into comics and was hired by EC Comics, did a few of their comics, and most notably probably this story, which is one of the more infamous stories in the EC Comics universe.
And this is the first one we've done that he's drawn, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The first one we've done, I think it's the only one that is adapted to the TV show. He only did about 5 other comics or stories for EC Comics. He's not a real prolific EC guy. He eventually moved to Boston and worked for the Boston Globe as their resident cartoonist at the Boston Globe for like 32 years. So that's mainly what he did was local cartoons for the Boston Globe. And there you
Pluto.
go.
And
So,
Pluto. Let's not forget Pluto.
And Pluto, which apparently I read his, he passed away because, he was born in, I think, 1920. And his obituary described that far into his golden years, he could draw Pluto in about 2 seconds. He still had that muscle memory of drawing. I mean, just think about how many frames you have to draw as an animator of Pluto by hand, and doing 100 of those.
It becomes
it
muscle
must
memory.
be. It must be. He could do it with his eyes closed. Yeah, exactly. But let's talk about Cutting Cards, the comic.
6-pager, not an 8-pager. It's this one is a short one, and we'll find that out with the HBO adaptation as well. As I think it's the shortest of the HBO. This might just be our shortest episode, Fred. This is going to be a small one.
Who knows? I have a lot of recs this episode, so we'll see if we could fill it. Okay. So, yeah, it's a short episode. It opens with this great splash page where it looks like this guy is going to kill this other guy, but that's just sort of an action pack to get you into the story. Two smoking gamblers
smoking,
here.
Not smoking like hot, because they kind of
not smoking hot, but literally smoking. One guy's got a big cigar, and the other has a cigarette holder.
Yes.
Which you really don't see those ever anymore. Anybody smoking
dapper?
with a cigarette?
I don't know how you would describe it. I always feel like it was like a flapper thing. But to see it was like kind of when someone does a flapper costume for Halloween, they usually have the cigarette on the holder, and it's all debonair looking. But you don't see
originally
middle-aged.
It was designed. Well, you would see it with like a Bond villain or something like that. If you were like dapper, you would have a cigarette holder, because the whole point of it was to prevent nicotine stains on your fingers.
Right.
Because cigarettes, especially before they had filters, your fingers would get all yellowy. And with flappers, all these women used to wear like white silk gloves.
Oh.
And you didn't want your silk gloves to get nicotine stains on them. And so they developed the cigarette holder. But
science.
Science. Yeah, the science of cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they start.
You can also do that.
Sure. Anyway, cigarette holding. We got these two guys. What are their names? There's Gus Forney and Lou Grebs.
Yeah,
great names.
We'll depart from these names for our television episode, but we'll know them as Gus and Lou.
Yes. And so I was maybe going to save part of this for the Rex, but might as well bring this in now. So the method of how these stories were written was Bill Gaines, would be up all night taking speed, and would be reading different things, and then basically would come in and kind of rip off what he had read the night before when he would pitch to Al Feldstein. He would say like a good, hey, I read these stories.
Hoke-fueled ramble.
Yeah.
Speed-fueled ramble,
and I feel like, so Roald Dahl wrote a story in 1948 called, originally Collector's Item, later retitled The Man from the South, which is about a guy betting whether his cigarette lighter can light 10 times in a row.
I think Tarantino adapted this for his segment 4 Rooms, right?
Yeah, so maybe I'll save the rest of that for the Rex. But I feel like And if his cigarette lighter didn't light 10 times, this guy cuts his finger off. It's all set in, I think, South America somewhere, maybe Argentina.
Mm.
And this guy Carlos is doing the bet, and says you can win my Cadillac if your lighter lights 10 times, and then he cuts off his finger. And I feel like, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like William Gaines read that story the night before,
I
came in
think
and
you're
said,
right.
"Hey, what do we do? A story about gamblers cutting their limbs off?" Because it basically, the whole premise is these two guys are like, "Hey, the world's not big enough for the two of
Right.
us. You got to get out of town. Let's do some kind of bet where whoever wins, they got to leave town." And then
Yeah,
it
and it
escalates from there.
escalates quickly. And it's funny,
Yeah.
you don't even need the backstory. They just hate each other from the from the get-go,
Yeah. Not unlike traditional EC morality plays where it's usually like, greed or some kind of avarice. It seems to be just pride, right? It's like these
Ego,
guys
pride.
just want to be the greatest gambler in
Yeah.
town, wherever they are. And they go from basically picking cards, like who gets the highest card, to immediately Russian roulette, which
Immediately.
is
I love
insane
it.
to
We
me.
get kind of like a swear. We get how the classic
Yeah.
the numeric X exclamation point, and percent, like, you lucky son of blah blah blah. So the
So
kids
I
out
think
there don't really
those
get
are
to be
called. I think those are called Gramblex. Is
Gramblix. That
what
sounds right. That sounds like a
is
cereal
is
too.
so. The only reason they're called that is because the guy who created Beetle Bailey, Mort Walker, decided to call them that in his book about like behind the funnies. He's like, this is what those are called. And so they're called that. I might be wrong on that name. I'll have to double check, but that's his name
I
for
like it.
like
Go with it.
cursing. Yeah. He
Yeah.
Gramblexes, you lucky, blah, blah, blah,
Gramblix.
you, or, who's the guy? Cubert. It's like whatever Cubert would
Yeah,
say when he
Cubert. I
would
love that's how
fall off the
Cubert would
thing.
talk, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I love that he just, and then to answer that, he's like, no, I got a simpler method. Get your revolver. I challenge you to a game of Russian roulette. Just after the first loss. Or after the first tie, I should say.
Yep. And they put the gun to their head and it goes click, click. There's some great escalating expressions that I think are echoed in
Yeah.
the TV show.
Yep.
And they finally get down to the last shot. They're sweating bullets.
Literally.
Not literally.
Or not literally,
Or
yes, I should
literally.
say. Or literally. Yeah.
And,
That's
and
happening.
we get to the last shot, and instead of a click, it goes clunk, which is a great sound effect there.
Yeah.
When it hits a dud. What? It didn't go off. A dud? Why, you dirty Gramblex. You knew it all the time that you wanted to go first. You thought I'd crawl. Oh, don't be an idiot, Lou. You twirled the chamber. How did I know it would come up last? You can't talk your way out of this one. Sus?
I guess they were
I
playing.
guess. Oh, Gus? Is that his thing? I don't know.
Wait, yeah, it's Gus.
No matter.
Gus. I think it's just the
Gus.
copy we're looking at. Yeah.
It's just the printing is a little faded. No matter when it came up, you had a sure thing. Are you accusing me, Gus Forney, of cheating? They're playing Russian roulette, okay? Yeah, you hear me.
Oh my lord. Yep. I'm an honest gambler. I love that he responds, I am an honest gambler. No cheating here.
Right.
Two stand-up individuals here.
So then also I love this picture of this panel of their two heads almost knocking together as they're arguing.
Yeah. Which will echo later.
Foreshadow what will happen later. Now it leads them to play something called chop poker.
Another escalation.
Yeah. Now I couldn't find if this was an actual game I didn't find any listing of this. If this, like strip poker, I didn't know if this is like an actual thing people played,
Well, don't worry,
but
because the vault keeper hops in and clarifies everything for us.
yes. So we get uh, another imposition of the vault keeper. I think we've seen this before with the
The
old
witch.
witch before,
Yeah.
but here he comes in and he explains what chop poker is.
Kids, you've heard about strip poker. It's kind of like that. It's almost like that, only instead of losing an article of clothing, you lose a limb. Got that, children that are reading this in 1950?
Well, I think again this points to the fact that I don't think they thought kids were reading these comics.
And yeah, no,
Like
I just
this
think
is
it's fun.
clearly towards adults, even though kids clearly were reading these.
Hmm.
Strip poke. So some kid is learning for the first time about strip and chop poker with this
Yeah.
little issue here.
But before the interlude, I'm sorry, there is one moment that is addressed in the comic that is not addressed. We'll talk about it in the live action. They just kind of gloss over, but I love what they make that they do this like, you're on, you crumb, and they're like to a finish, and then to a finish. And then or Gus or whatever the other one says, call your doctor, I'll get mine. And just like we got to have these doctors on standby when we're starting to dismember one another.
Yeah, I love the service that there are just doctors on call for these gamblers
Imagine getting that call.
when you show up, when they show them in the comics, they look like totally stone faced in the back room, like this is in the
Yeah.
background, like this is like business as usual. This is our service. If you are playing a game of chop poker and you need a couple of doctors, call us up. We'll come on by.
Fuck the ethics. We'll be there. We're there to remove your limbs over
Yeah.
pride.
So then it comes down to chop poker and they start winning and losing limbs and hands. And I again love the sound effect of Zock as a pinky is chopped off. And he goes arg. And you see the doctor in the background as they progressively lose more and more fingers. Cut, of course. They cut the deck. They cut their hands. And that's just what happens. They just keep cutting. Yeah. It's basically a gruesome twosome of them just chopping off their limbs.
Yeah.
And
it's so much fun. It's crazy.
It's just this insane. Again, I love this doctor on the last page, I think, panel.
Yeah.
The second panel, these two doctors just waiting in the wings there with their surgical bags to come in and just patch them up so they can keep playing and keep chopping.
There's like one of them that's like in shadow that's like giving a side eye, like, I got my bag ready for the next one of you. Cut. Lou. Just this is great. And then and some of these images I think Walter Hill like just echoes like the one with like the bandage and the fingers, like we'll see in the live action. And then we come back to our vault keeper who like plays us off with one final image.
Yes, before that he says, yep, kiddies, that's how the game was played. It continued on like that far into the night as each hand was played and won. Zunk! Ow! But Lou and Gus never did play chop poker to the finish. Oh yes, they played all night and into the next day, but they had to quit towards evening. Seems that neither of them could deal the cards. What? You don't believe me? Well, let's look in on this hospital room. Lou and Gus are in there, still gambling. Go ahead, it's your move. So pass the chewing gum. I want to jump you.
Yeah.
As they have no arms and no legs and are playing checkers with apparently gum on their nose to move the checker pieces.
You don't think there's any subtext there, right? With I want to jump you past the gum.
Well, we can talk about
Let's
the
talk about that.
adaptation. So,
I do love this.
as we mentioned, Walter Hill took up directorial duties again. I think this is his second episode. He's
He's
done.
perfect for this because he does the buddy thing so well, and like dudes with ego and pride. Like I brought up Southern Comfort in our last episode.
Yes.
He definitely touches on that. We've got like 48 hours. He's
Yeah,
very good at
the
this.
Warriors.
Warriors.
Anything is he that seems to be his topic is masculinity,
Mhm.
and you know, he was Sam Peckinpah's protege originally, and I think he continues forward with Sam Peckinpah's themes of men and what it means to be a man. Interesting. It's written by Walter Hill and co-written by Mae Woods, who was his long-term personal assistant
Right.
through many years. Before that, she was Peter Bogdanovich's personal assistant. And later, I think now she works at the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences
Oh, cool.
as still as a curator of their audio archive interviews. So
Oh,
she's
that's awesome.
done interviews with luminaries in the motion picture industry, to keep a record of their history and stuff. That's what she does now, and so very interesting that he collaborated with a woman about a
Yeah.
male masculinity
Locking horns
thing.
and stubbornness
Yes,
and yeah.
and definitely takes it to absurd levels where it's almost a satire of
Yeah.
male masculinity. It's so taken to ridiculous extremes. He's working again with John Leonetti, who directed the first episode, or was the director of photography of the
Right.
first episode, and now his score is by James Horner for
Yeah,
this
we
episode.
should have a moment to talk about James Horner because this is the only score he does for Tales of the Crypt. Has he ever partnered with Walter Hill before? I know
I
he's
don't
done a
know,
lot of.
actually.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, it was kind of. I was
I
thinking
didn't
about that.
find anything.
Um, obviously, James Horner has like these horn. I love his scores. Obviously, he has a lot of what I would say is Hornerisms. If that's a word I could.
Hornyisms is
Hornerisms
what I
because like
call
some of
them.
his early scores, like I really like his score for Krull, and some of that is echoed in Star Trek 2, I think, with like some of those like very sweeping dun 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 dun, dun like sort of moments, and then later he gets into this sort of like Bobby Fischer, like where he just like puts an elbow down on a piano and it kind of makes that boom, and then some of those echoes happen in Braveheart and stuff. Um, I'm not a music guy, so this is how I have to analyze this. But I have to say this didn't sound like a James Horner score at all. First of all, the synthiness of the opening track, but then later when we get into sort of the showdown outside with the gun, it gets what I think is a little more instrumental, a little bit more tension building music that is also kind of like a little jazzy, I guess, a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
it
just didn't sound
definitely started.
like a James
It
Horner
definitely
score.
started out, and I saw his name, and then I was listening to what I was hearing, and I was like, "This really does not sound like James Horner." Not to denigrate James Horner, but it did not sound like great music at the beginning.
No,
To
it
be
sounded like
frank,
a free to grab track to use as temp.
yes. I'm not finding that he worked with Walter Hill before.
Yeah,
Well,
I
Crossroads. No, I guess
no,
not. Huh.
but that was Ray Cooder though, right? Crossroads. He had done.
Yeah.
Well, no, he had done 48 hours. He did do 48 hours.
Oh,
There
okay.
is like a cool like thing that I believe was like a Hornerism. I remember hearing in like Red Heat or something that like didn't they do that in 48 hours? Whatever I
I
just
don't
sang.
know.
Yeah, we'll find it.
I can't tell. Uh,
Yeah, so they work together on 48 Hours. He's he has done some good work. I didn't know he did Wolfen.
yeah, Wolfen, I think, was maybe one of his first scores.
Yeah.
Wolfen's a very underrated movie.
Yes, there's
Um,
actually a thing about this. So like these musical motifs, that's the word I was looking for. He has them throughout, like the one I just did poorly on here was a motif that was used in 48 Hours and is, I guess it's recycled into Commando, Red Heat, and another 48 Hours. And I always remember him from his Glory score, which was gorgeous. And there's like
well,
excerpts
the
apparently of,
aliens, the
yeah,
alien score is what I think is
yeah, but he
his
did
hallmark.
Willow.
But he did end up winning the Oscar for Titanic.
Yeah, an
So
overdue Oscar, I'd say, because like I think some of his
yes,
work before then was more deserving, but it just probably hadn't caught on yet. Not to besmirch
yes,
Titanic, I'm just saying, like I think he again, like I think one of my favorite scores of his is Kroll, which is a bold statement to say, but I'll stand by it. Did Patriot Games. Like I
a
said,
lot
I
of
love his
stuff.
Wrath of Khan score was really cool too. Um,
Wrath of Khan is excellent. Yeah, great composer, no doubt. Just odd in this score. I think it does pick up, like you said, once they get to the parking lot. But
mhm.
the opening track, unlike the opening of The Man Who Was Death, the first episode, which had that great carnival
Yeah,
sound,
the Cooter.
I think maybe they were going for something like that with a Vegas motif,
Yeah,
but
sleazy
it comes
gambling
off
folk.
as like, I don't know. It was a little like, really? This is James Horner?
Mhm.
But then it picks up. For cast of this episode, we have,
Oh boy,
the
this
great
is great.
Lance Hendrickson,
Yeah.
uh, who I think had just worked with Walter Hill on Johnny Handsome, which is a
Yeah.
very underrated Walter Hill movie with
Yeah.
Mickey
Mickey
Rourke and
Rourke.
Ellen Barkin. Another Ellen Barkin shout out tangentially. She
Yeah.
was in Siesta and now Johnny
Right.
Handsome. I love Johnny Handsome. It's one of my favorite Walter Hill movies. It's
That's
a
due for
very like,
due for like a boutique label re-up, right? Because I
yes,
don't remember seeing it since
please.
I was a kid. Yeah.
It's a
Um
great like sleazy film noir that he does with Mickey Rourke, and Lance Hendrickson plays a just a terrible bad guy, which
he's
he's
very
great
good at
at.
that. Yeah.
He's very
He is
good
very good at that.
at playing that. Of course, he first appears in movies in Dog Day Afternoon as the kind of
Yeah.
assassin guy at the
Well,
end.
he's an FBI officer. They're totally gold, right? But he he does take out one of our
Our
leads.
heroes,
Yeah.
yeah. Spoiler alert on that.
Yeah.
He's also, I mean, great in Near Dark, the Catherine Bigelow vampire movie.
I didn't know he was in Close Encounters.
Aliens. He's in Close Encounters.
I think the first thing I remember him from was The Right Stuff, where he played one of the astronauts, and
Yeah,
I thought that was
played
cool.
one of the
Like a few
Mercury
months.
astronauts. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and obviously
Um,
the Terminator, and he's one of the only two actors to be murdered by an alien, a predator, and a Terminator. The other being Bill
yes,
Paxton.
right.
Um,
Because he's Bishop in Aliens.
yeah,
He's great. That's
yeah.
maybe his most famous role.
hmm But I
Is
think he's even
probably
killed. I don't think he's
Aliens.
ever. You can't technically say he was killed by the alien in that. I think he gets killed in Alien versus Predator. For reals. I didn't think we would be
That's
going to
true.
the Alien versus Predator today of all the Henriksen works. We could talk more about Aliens because obviously that's gold, and there is that knife sequence which is echoes. That happened
Yeah,
before he's hacking off Kevin Teague's fingers. Um,
but also shows, I think, his range in Alien, because he's probably most well known for that movie, and
yeah,
he plays a really nice guy. I mean, nice robot.
calm.
Compared, yeah, he's like the nicest guy
Yeah,
in the whole movie.
yeah. He's like a
But
sweetheart.
then plays these like terrible people in like Near Dark. He's awful. Hard Target, the
Oh
John
yeah.
Woo movie, plays an awful guy, and he plays kind of an awful guy in this. He's also great
He's
in
fun though.
Pumpkinhead.
Yeah.
I shout out to Pumpkinhead as a
Stan
underrated
Winston.
horror film.
That's sort of
Stan
a
Winston.
that's like a very Pumpkinhead could have existed in a Tales from the Crypt world. It's kind of like a sold your soul for vengeance and
Yes.
suffer the consequences sort of situation.
Yes.
Um, he was in uh, he was in The Quick and the Dead too, which he was like one of the gunfighters. I don't think he makes it too far, but his brief screen time is of course memorable.
Yeah, he has a great costume in that. I mean, also he was in the TV show Millennium, where I think he was nominated for. That's where he was a star, and he was
Yeah,
nominated for
it
Golden
was kind
Globes for that. You know,
of the
long
cult horror
storied career.
of X-Files sort of sister, right?
Yes, I think his character's name was Frank Black in that.
Oh yeah,
Not the Pixies lead
not
singer,
the Pixies lead singer.
but the
Well, he was gigantic.
FBI profiler. Huh?
He was gigantic in stature on that
Okay.
show.
Yeah.
Is this
Great.
mic working?
Don't touch the mic because it'll stop working
Oh,
if you
okay,
touch
good.
it. Remember that? Remember how we found that out,
Oh
Tim?
yes, my mic has an attitude. We figured that
Yeah.
out.
Anyway, Lance Hendrickson, long storied career as a great character actor. Also, quite a successful potterist.
Hmm.
Makes a lot of pottery in his spare time.
I also read that he
And
taught himself to read, and at the age of 30, he taught himself to read.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. He didn't have
crazy.
an easy life, and then eventually that's how he started to learn to read when he started auditioning at age 30 for a lot of things. He had done like
What?
behind the scenes work. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what
That's
sources on the internet
That's
say.
insane to
Yeah,
me. Okay.
yeah.
Well, he is joined by Kevin. Is it Tighe? How do you pronounce his name? Tighe? Kevin
I thought it
Tighe?
was Teague. It
Ti-
just sounded like
Teague?
Teague.
Kevin
Um,
Teague.
Kevin Teague. It has like
Who,
kind of like an Irish feel.
yes. All right. That makes sense. Kevin Teague, who I remember originally because he was in my favorite show when I was 5 years old, which was Emergency with a capital exclamation
Exclamation point.
point.
Yeah, yeah.
He was
I
one of
never saw
the
it.
paramedics on Emergency, which I think I just loved because at 5 years old, you just love sirens,
Yeah.
and it opened with an ambulance siren every episode. That's mostly, but
Like
he was on that
police
show
squad.
from 1972 to 1979 as like the
Yeah, it was a good
co-lead
TV star.
paramedic.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a big TV star and went on to do Lost. A stint on Lost is a very memorable character.
Yep.
He was in Roadhouse.
He was a
He
good guy in
worked with
Roadhouse. He always kind of was
yeah, he
like
was
kind of like a creepo dude in his film career. Like I think in Mate One, he did a couple John Sayles movies that
yeah.
I remember him from Eight Men Out, and I remember him being he was a slimy guy who's helping to like rig the games.
Yeah.
And he was good. He was good in all that.
And he'd worked with Walter Hill in Another 48 Hours. So
Right.
they done that together. But he was like a leading man guy from Emergency. He was like one
Yeah.
of the lead handsome guys. And then kind of has morphed into, he plays kind of like bad guys in stuff. Like you said, he's great
Yeah.
in Matewan. He was great in Lost as just
Yeah.
a
Locke's
despicable
dad, right?
guy.
Yeah. He was Locke's
Yeah, he's
dad.
like a weird con man, right?
Yeah. Well,
In
and then he
that,
just showed up this past year in One Battle After Another as like the creepo secret society boss, right?
yes. So those are the two guys that play our two main gamblers, rounding out the supporting characters, and there aren't many because, like you said, this
There's one.
episode is 20 minutes long. It's the shortest episode, I think, of all because there's not really much happens, but Roy Brocksmith shows up again. This is
Love it.
our third appearance for Roy.
second in
so
a Walter Hill
far.
directed episode as a bartender. So he's nailed the Walter Hill bartender role.
Is
And
he the same bartender? I don't
I
know.
don't think he is,
Who
but I think
knows?
spiritually,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
He definitely
Who
is like,
knows?
he kind of like eggs on a villain, or one of our heroes, quote. And obviously he's heard of Reno. The reputation precedes him. He thought he recognized him when he came in. But yeah, Henriksen comes in all dressed like a cowboy.
Yes, they really play that motif up. They kind of expand a little bit from the comic by making him much more of a character. He shows up at this bar, gets a drink, and is basically looking for Kevin Tighe, right?
Teague? Yeah.
Teague?
Teague.
God, I'm bad on the
Call him
pronunciations.
KT.
Just awful.
KT. Yeah.
Yes. They
Oh,
go over,
Tighe.
they
I think
meet
it's pronounced like Tighe. So like, yeah.
Tighe. Okay.
Tighe. Kevin Tighe.
Tighe.
Yeah,
right.
let's correct ourselves now going forward.
Yeah.
Respect this man who hams it up during this. Yeah, we get that these two have a backstory, which I think is, this is my back room. Aren't you playing with so and so and so and so? I kicked them out of this town. I ran them out because I beat them at all the games. Then you find out that he got 10K from him at one point in their gambling careers, and that Tighe got his Cadillac at one point from him. So good.
Cadillac.
A Cadillac.
Yeah. Which ties it, I think, back into the man from what was the name of the story? The Man from the South.
Oh, there's a Cadillac featured in there?
Well, that's what they're playing for, his Cadillac.
Right. Ooh, yeah. I like it. Well, that's also where Tighe has his gun that will come into play after a little bit of dice play.
So Walter Hill and Maywoods expand the story a little bit, only very minimal, to give a little bit of backstory to these guys.
Again,
in the comic, they're just playing at the beginning. They're like, all right, let's start playing. Who gets out of town? And this one gives you just a sliver of like, these guys got a grudge. Mm-hmm. They have a history together. They're going to decide who gets out of town. They both draw aces. And I have to say,
in the comic they do, but in this they
roll dice. In this one they roll dice. They both get boxcars, as they call them.
Love it. Never heard that before in my entire life. And now,
oh really?
I also like the dice cups. My mom and dad used to have one of those when I was a little kid, like from like the 70s, like leather, and just the sound of them rolling around in there was so cool. So I liked seeing that. Shout out to the 70s.
It always associates. I always associate it with Yahtzee.
I think that's why we had them. Yahtzee.
But they have great expressions on their faces when they win. I got to point that out. Also, I want to talk about. So they both win. They both get double sixes, and they're like, "We got to escalate. Let's go to my car where I got my gun."
We're gonna escalate to Russian roulette. I'm bought in on this. I love these two guys.
Also, they're hilarious. Also, they start playing Russian roulette in a parking lot in the open air, so everyone can see. And it's not lost on the filmmakers that this is ridiculous, because then they have another car show up in the middle of their Russian roulette game.
I love it when it happens too. They both just like team up to get this guy the fuck out. Like the guy who mistakes them both for valets. And then I think this is a guy I've seen in a ton of movies too. This guy, Alan Graff, who's like a stuntman.
Alan Graff is a famous stuntman.
Yeah.
And was Walter Hill's stunt coordinator on many movies. And he gets this little cameo because he also has done little cameos in, I think, every movie he's stunt coordinated.
Yeah, his
gets little
IMDb
stuff.
is insane.
And he has a great little bit here where he thinks they're the valet guys and is like, where should I park the car? And these two insane guys team up and are like, get the hell out. Now, I got to point out, he's also in the car with Elise Christensen, who is also a stunt woman.
Oh, great.
But who in I don't know how long ago had a terrible camping accident where she
no.
went camping and her sleeping bag caught on fire and
What?
she got 3rd and 4th degree burns over 40% of her body.
Oh no.
And then went through, I think, over 20 surgeries to restore it and wrote a book about it called
Really?
The Gimp is the name of her
The gimp.
of her book.
Mm.
Yeah, how to it's called the Gimp, or it's called Gimp. Surviving Your Survival Story is the name of it, and
Wow.
she's a big advocate for burn victims
Huh.
in I think Portland, Oregon.
This was all
Uh,
after her appearing in this episode?
yes,
Oh
yes,
wow.
way
But she had done a
after.
lot of stunt work
Just,
before then.
but she'd been a stunt woman for a long time and probably worked with uh
Probably
her
Walter Hill.
co-star here.
Yeah.
But anyway, that little bit of weird trivia that
That
you
is,
find as you're deep
we
diving
gotta find a copy of
into
GIMP
these
at your
episodes.
local library.
Yeah, I think she's also written a sequel to it called GIMP 2.0 to further talk about it. I don't know, man. This is just what I
2.0?
found.
Oh boy.
Yep.
Well, I mean, yeah. Okay.
Strange
I'm
stuff.
glad that
So they
she's
find it.
dealing with their trauma, though. I mean, that's can't be.
Yeah,
That
I
that's got to
think
be hard.
it sounds like it sounds like a lot of adversity to overcome. But
Hmm. Well,
just crazy trivia
yeah.
associated with this. And she's in this car. The two guys team up to get rid of them. And at one point, KT seems like he's like, "Oh, we're pretty
Yeah.
good at
Yeah.
this."
Yeah.
And we could be are we friends now? Is like the
Did we
expression
just
he has
fall
on
in
his
love?
face.
Like, to
Yeah.
me, this is a great addition to the adaptation, honestly, because you. I'm gonna say it. I think this is a love story. I think these guys have a lot of respect and a lot of hate, and they're still dealing with some machismo feelings that they're not able to speak to eloquently, and thus they are going to hack at each other uh, later on.
I have a technical question about Russian roulette, which maybe you can help me with as a
Of course.
Russian roulette expert,
Yeah,
Tim.
sure.
When you play Russian roulette, you just spin it the one time and then do it. Why don't you spin it every time? Doesn't that
I
lead
think that's
to
a
better
variation
odds?
of the game. Like, I'd have to rewatch The Deer Hunter, which is where I get my expertise on Russian roulette. But um, how did they do it in The Deer Hunter? Would be my first. How did you know, what are the best practices for Russian roulette? And I think obviously you could go on forever if you have to keep spinning it, but there's six opportunities to end the game. The way they do it here. So, and apparently it was popular in the 1950s too.
Here's how well, and 48, at least since 1948, right? Which
Hmm.
is when Roald Dahl writes his short story about it. I mean, I'm
Right.
sure there were other short stories. Here's how I would play Russian roulette. This is
Hmm.
my
Get it, man.
way.
Listeners.
You need first off, you need a revolver
Mm.
so you can spin it.
Hmm.
You need that kind of gun. And you spin it, you go through, but then after every round, you add a bullet
Oh,
and keep spinning it
damn.
every pass. So you go back and forth, and your chances then go up and go down at the same time because you're always spinning it. So there's always a 5-1, then it's a 2 and 5, whatever chance or
Yeah.
whatever. And as you progress to finally there's a full chain, you got one left, one
Yeah.
chamber left, and that's it. That's to
That's the
me, that's how you
fun
play. That's how
fun
you
for the
play
whole
Russian
family
roulette.
version, right? The fun for the whole family version. Yeah, I thought it was just you were just gonna pull out you just spin it every time with the one bullet. But no, you want to
No,
get
no, no.
you want to get
Gotta
down to it.
gotta
Yeah.
gotta raise the stakes.
Unless you have only one bullet, and then you could do it the other two ways. For listeners
Yeah,
at home.
but I mean, come on. Who only has one bullet? I
It's
think I
true.
got more bullets in this desk than just one.
I got more on my shoulder than yeah.
Yes.
Anyways, you do literally are holding up a bullet right now. Okay, Fred, we'll talk about that later. Off mic, you got 2 bullets. Okay, was that just for this episode? Do you have these? We'll talk about this.
Anyway,
HR
going on, they switch from the Russian roulette to now we got to go Chapoka. And they're I want to talk about the lighting in this as well, because it's very neo-noir lighting, but also has a neon feel to it. All these like pinks and blues, I think, make it look like Miami Vice kind of, or Michael Mann looking film noir feel to it, which is
feels like
great.
it
I
echoes
love the
elements
look
of
of
the
it.
comic too, you know, like where the comic would do certain lighting elements like that. Like when we open up on all of them in the sort of chopping room, we've got our dealer with his green hat and like no expression. Kind of reminds me of like the preacher that gets brought into Beetlejuice that just kind of sits there and just looks creepy and doesn't really talk that much. And then we've got our doctors flanked on the sides, who obviously, if you've read the comic, you know the backstory that they did call their doctors to help administer some hacks when it got a little too much for them, because or to heal them each time that they hack at each other. So that's there.
Yeah, but great. It's a great like triangle pattern lighting on there that really replicates, I think, the comic book lighting, and the two guys, like it becomes very stylized in this world, wherever they are doing this.
Their costumes enhance their characters, you know, like with just our cowboy and our sort of like car salesman-y look of I guess high roller, but he doesn't look super duper high roller. He's just kind of schlubby, but yeah, I just love these guys. Everything about it is so well done.
Right. So this takes place in Reno as well, right? It's Reno, Nevada, not Las Vegas.
Well, the
which
guy's
I think
name is
also
Reno, but
yes,
right? His name is Reno, and he's in Reno.
His name is Reno. Is he in Reno? My thought was
I'm gonna go Carson City. I'm going to say it's a similar. It doesn't seem like.
Well, I was going to say it was not. I think they made a point to not make it Las Vegas. It's
definitely
like these are not top high roller guys.
Right.
These are like in a small town, the smaller Vegas guys
Carson
who are
City.
like,
let's go Carson City
or Carson City. Yeah, it's like
of.
Carson City isn't big enough for the two of us, and they just start chopping. And I have to say, the chopping effects, because they do show it. They show in the comic, it's almost all off panel. But here they make sure to show the gore, and then their expressions when their limbs are chopped off.
Chef's kiss.
Yes, chef's kiss to both these actors for just giving us the best freeze frames I've ever seen. We got to post these to our Instagram or whatever.
Particularly Kevin Tighe gets
so good.
the Oscar here, because his like squealing is like
it's hilarious.
Fantastic. I'm cracking up.
I had so much fun watching this gruesome episode, because it's just making fun of these two dumb macho guys who obviously are in love with each other. and they're forced. The town isn't big enough for the two of us, because I love you. I done love you. I mean,
I need you to die, so I can't deal with my feelings.
Need you to cut off your limbs. Not that limb. Anyway, so they keep cutting off finger after finger. One guy offers, after he loses, Lance Henriksen's like, wait a minute, how about I give you your finger back? We'll have the doctors stitch it on. Nope, chopping it off right now. Shunk.
Yeah, I love it too, because his insanity is in full force, because he's like, I'm on a roll.
Yeah, which maybe also is talking about gambling addiction. Like, these guys are addicted to the thrill of it, not the whatever you're going to win.
Payoff.
It's more
it's like we're willing
the act of gambling is what's fun about this.
We're willing to you know, there's the cut off your nose to spite your own face saying, cut off your fingers to spite your own success at gambling. I guess would be more appropriate for this. You'll do horrible things to yourself just for bragging rights.
Yes.
That's kind of
definitely
where we're at. I think it's kind of funny here that like when they shuffle the first card, the dealer asks Tighe to cut the deck, he doesn't cut the deck. He taps it. He does like the tap, which would be kind of ironic considering they're about to just cut their fingers off, but he chooses not to cut the deck. Huh?
Smart.
Huh?
Yeah. Smart.
Smart little moment there. I also love it when we open on that shot that Kevin Teige's just like fingers are like tapping on the
Yes.
on the thing, where like you're just kind of looking at those things going like, those aren't gonna make it.
Those fingers aren't gonna make it. Yeah. It's great. So it escalates, keeps escalating, and then finally we cut to how they end up a nurse. And they're
tending
like
to
the comic.
vials.
Yeah. And just like in the comic, they're, seated across from each other, now with no arms and no legs, playing checkers with gum
on the nose.
And it ends with a play off of, I think, Love American Style, which would always end with a iris in the shape of a heart on the end of our couple. Yeah. But this one, they exchange the gum and they're like forehead to forehead, looking like they're about to kiss each other.
Yeah, they look like a couple little lovebirds.
A couple little lovebirds, which I think is what this episode is all about. And then we're back to the Crypt Keeper. We forgot to mention the Crypt Keeper intro on this one, where he's playing cards and whatnot.
He's playing cards. He comes back with a couple great puns of, cutting the deck down here somewhere, and elbow their way to the top, going out on a limb. You gotta love it. And he's frying up some finger foods in a pan.
Some more gore with those close up of the fingers, which are great effects.
I guess the implication is that they are our heroes. 20 fingers or so. But again, just a real fun episode, and these, in a way, a happy ending, because I think these two guys are in love, and I think that the fact that they ended up together in this sort of psych ward / infirmary is kind of fitting to their egos, and I think they are. I think
they're now. They're now together forever.
They're now together.
Yeah, they wanted one to get out of town, but instead it's now they're joined at their severed limbs together for the rest of their lives. It's a short, sweet episode. It's one of my favorites, to be honest.
Yeah,
I really enjoy this short little episode.
There's no padding. Everything tracks. There's no again, these performances drive it. These are two pros that have been in the industry, and they're just bringing their A game. Walter Hill knows what to do with them, and they did a really good job following the beats of the comic, but then elevating it with like a bit of backstory and a bit of like a moment where they where that guy comes up with the valet, and they have a moment where they're almost together in this world where he's like, "You heard my friend, get the fuck out of here," and it's like, you just called him your friend, like there was that moment. So yeah, like I think everything pays off so well, and it's just fun. It's just gruesomely fun.
Yeah, it's a very dark humor based body horror episode. Mm-hmm. And again, no one dies this episode.
No one dies.
This and The Switch have no body count on
that's 2 in a row.
That's 2 in a row.
I'm sure we're going to get back to some death soon, though. I know.
Yeah,
we need to get some death up in here.
Get some death back up here. All right. Well, I think that wraps up this episode, which, man, I love it. One of the better ones.
Good fun.
Tonight's episode is brought to you by Chop Poker, the home game.
It's Friday night and the whole family's at the table because it's time for poker. Chop Poker. Draw your cards, place your bets, and see who's got the nerve to go all in. But you'd better watch out, because in Chop Poker, when you lose a hand, you lose a hand! Little Timmy just drew his flush card. The whole family holds their breath. Dad's already lost 2 fingers and he's holding a 2, a 9, a jack, and 2 sevens. I love you all. Wait, no! Chop Poker. The home game includes 52 cards, 2 dice, a revolver with 1 wet bullet, a miniature butcher block, and a Super Scimitar Brothers 12-inch blade. Chop Poker, fun for everyone. Someone's lost a finger and the night it's just begun. Chop Poker, the home game, is recommended for ages 5 and up. Henriksen Brothers Inc. accepts no liability for digits lost during normal gameplay. Cards and game pieces not dishwasher safe. If you or a family member experiences the loss of more than 4 fingers, please consult a physician before continuing. Chop Poker, where every hand counts until you can't count no more.
But before we go, we have our final segment that we need to talk about, which is our recommendations toward it. Obviously, we've been peppering them in throughout this episode, things that we like about, but it's time to talk about the Vault of More.
The Vault of More.
Yeah, I thought we almost had like a Tibetan monk thing going there with like the throat singing. Let's do that.
Almost.
Let's do this threat singing.
Yeah, we should work on that. That could be our side project. Yeah.
Death metal with that. Yes.
You want to go first?
Yes. This you'll appreciate this one because we would quote this throughout our lives growing up together, Fred. But My Vault of More is not a movie. It is not a book. It is not another television show, but it is a sketch. A Mr. Show sketch. I think it's called Spite Marriage, but for me, it's known as "I'll marry your stupid ass," which is the key line. And it's if you're not familiar with Mr. Show, it was a sketch comedy show from the late '90s that had Bob Odenkirk and David Cross, and a lot of I think Jack Black shows up in there, and a lot of just really good people that you've
Paul
seen.
F. Tompkins,
a Kieran Kilgariff.
And it was on this network.
It was on HBO. Yeah. And it was awesome. And they did this amazing sketch where 2 guys whose rivalry is just so all consuming that they'd rather destroy themselves and walk away from it. Which is what happens in the sketch where a guy David Cross bumps into Bob Odenkirk at a bar, and they're with their girlfriends out for a night drinking, and they do not like being bumped, and it ends up escalating they want to fight. Oh, I'll fight. Oh, you want to fight? Yeah, I'll fucking fight you. I'll fucking fight. I'll fucking marry your ass. And they're like, all right, let's fucking do it. Let's go. And they get married. And I'm
in it for the long haul. I'll marry your ass. It's on. I believe it's how it goes. Yeah.
Yeah. So instead of cutting each other with butcher knives, these 2 commit to marriage, and there's a lot of wonderful moments. I'll post it on our thing because it's available on YouTube, but it just escalates from there. There's they're married in bliss, and Bob Odenkirk is angrily mowing his lawn, and David Cross comes out with an apron, and he's like, "Here's your fucking lemonade, asshole." He brings it out to them while they're doing it, and it's just more and more of they have committed to marriage. Their family is happy for them in this new life, and they continue along this path of bliss. And then there's a little bump in the road, but then they get it right back on track. And I'll post the sketch, but it is our 2 heroes of this episode, Odenkirk and David Cross, bring it. And bring the escalation and the comedy and the just absurdity of petty grievances, and the lengths with which you'll take them. And actually, there's even a moment at the end where if you've recently seen the movie Obsession, there is a moment at the end of Obsession that reminds me of how this sketch ends. And I was like, I wonder if they watched that to be sort of a broken from the spell sort of moment, if you will. But anyways, highly recommend this 4 minutes of your time. Such a short sketch to go with such a short episode, but it was really the first thing came to my mind, especially when it concerns male fragility and the lengths we'll go to just
definitely
kick yourself to death. Yeah. Stupidity.
Great recommendation and a great sketch that I love. It's fantastic.
Mhm.
My recommendations, I think I've already mentioned the Man from the South original short story by Roald Dahl. It was adapted to a. I mean, I have a few, so this may take a while.
No. This is why we're here.
So it
Educate.
was adapted to the Alfred Hitchcock Presents show, and it starred Steve McQueen and Peter Lorre.
Really?
Yes, awesome episode in 1960, directed by Norman Lloyd, who was a longtime collaborator with Alfred Hitchcock, who I believe lived to be. He might still be alive, but I think he's like 102.
Oh, wow. Was this in color
yeah.
or black and white?
This
Alfred
was in
Hitchcock.
black and white.
Okay.
It then was remade in 1979 for Tales from the Unexpected TV show, and starred Jose Ferrer as the titular Man from the South. And that was hosted by Roald Dahl himself, that TV
Oh,
show.
wow.
And then finally, it was remade again in 1985. The remake of Alfred Hitchcock Presents, directed by Steve DeJarnette in 1985, and that starred John Huston, Stephen Bauer, and his girlfriend at the time, Melanie Griffith, and co-starred Kim Novak and Tippi Hedren
In
in it as
1985.
well in 1985.
Wow.
So, and it's incredible. John Huston is really great in it. It's hard to sort of top the Peter Lorre, Steve McQueen episode because those guys are icons. And I mean, Peter Lorre's interpretation of it is fantastic. That episode and this comic also make me want to recommend the 2013 movie Cheap Thrills. Have you seen this?
Oh, yeah.
With,
No, I've never actually seen that, but it's Pat.
It's got Pat Healy, David Koechner, and Sarah Paxton are in it. And it's basically the same kind of escalation of masculinity and gambling addiction of this guy, Pat Healy, is sort of down on his luck, meets this strange couple in a bar, Sarah Paxton and David Koechner.
Oh, yeah.
And they start
David Koechner, yeah.
doing Koechner. I'm the worst on pronunciating.
It's okay.
Pronunciating. I can't even pronounce.
Pronunciation.
Pronunciate. Yeah. Pronunciation.
We'll have our own dictionary for our words. It's fine.
It's terrible. Anyway, he meets them at a bar, and then they start betting, and the bets escalate more and more, like pulling out your tooth and what will you do, basically, for money. And it's a short and sweet little independent movie that I think everyone is great.
I remember the poster.
In.
It's like his face, and it's just thrashed. Yeah.
Yes.
It's just been
it's
through
like what he's willing to do for money. Now, I'm going to recommend one. Again, Four Rooms, also, we mentioned this, also references it, the Tarantino directed episode of Four Rooms, which I don't care for, honestly. I don't think
his segment
great.
or the whole thing.
Kind of the whole thing and his segment. But
I remember liking Robert Rodriguez, and I remember, this is when I went through my Tim Roth obsession phase. So I was like, I was super into it. And then the music by Combustible Edison, I was like, oh yeah, Tim Roth. My name's Tim, and he's a cool bellboy character. And you get stuck in all these crazy adventures.
It, and it doesn't really hold up so well. But that's my opinion. I also want to recommend a novel called Last Days by Brian Evenson. Have you read this?
I've heard of it. Yes. I have not read it.
It's so good. The premise of which, it was written in 2009. Brian Evenson is a terrific writer. He writes in this very sparse, adjectiveless style, very similar to like Ernest Hemingway, or somebody like that. And the premise of this novel is this police detective, Klein, his last case he had to cut off his own hand to basically get out of a trap that this kidnapper had set, and to save the intended victim, he has to
Oh,
cut
kind of
off
like
his own
Saw
hand, kind of like Saw, and
or Mad Max.
cauterizes his cauterizes his limb at the time, and so he's left now without a hand, and he's sort of depressed because he can't have a job anymore working at the police department, and he gets a mysterious phone call from this religious sect called the Brotherhood, who want him to investigate the death of their leader of their sect. And
Okay.
he refuses. They end up kidnapping him and bringing him to this sect, and they're called the Brotherhood of Mutilation. And this sect believes the closer you are to God, the more you have removed from your body. They really take the Bible passage, if your eye offends you, cast it out. If your hand does you evil, cut it off.
But not like Martyrs or anything, right? It's like isn't that kind of like the premise of Martyrs, like that same sort of idea?
Martyrs is adjacent, but this is like the more you cut off, the more closer to God you are, and they think he is particularly suited because he cut off his own hand.
Yeah.
And so only he will understand how to investigate this premise.
Interesting.
The book is despite how gruesome this premise sounds, the book is incredibly funny. It's very absurdist, a detective story, because he finds out that the mutilation cult has had a schism. They've had a split, and there's two competing mutilation cults. And then they discovers that maybe, I don't want to give too much away, but maybe it's all.
I have had this. There's another Last Days that's written by someone else in horror, Adam Neville, but I don't know if it's Adam Neville did.
I've read both. I've read that one too. That's also good. Adam Neville wrote The Ritual.
Yes, that's the one I was thinking of. Not this one with Brian Evanson, but I do like this, and I like your pitch, so I'll have to add it to my two reads.
Highly recommend it. It's also really short. It's like 200 pages. You can read it in like an afternoon. Like it's
nice.
It's very sparse, very Kafkaesque, and all that stuff.
Wasn't Crash? There's some solid amputation in Crash too.
Crash is different.
It's a different.
Crash is associating sexual pleasure with car crashes.
Car crashes.
And basically, you're fusing yourself with a machine. This is all about removing yourself. Basically, the more you remove of yourself, the closer you are to God, because the less you exist, basically, or the less you have opportunities to offend God.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Well, we'll save Crash and Titan for when we have our body horror and automobile episode at some point. Probably. I'm rolling the dice on that one. Who knows if there's one there? Yeah.
So a lot of maybe too many recommendations.
No, these are good.
Me.
These are good.
But
no, I like
it.
Feed me Seymour. I want to see more of the Rex, because obviously I love continuing to talk about all of the stuff that this material inspires us to watch.
Yes, and
like
we'll keep doing it. So we'll be doing it again,
we'll do it
next
again
week with another episode. But
thanks for listening, folks. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok. You can email us at ithailsfromthecrypt@gmail.com. You can find us
anywhere you get your podcasts. Hopefully you found us because you're listening to us. We're also on YouTube. Please give us a little rating and a review. That helps more people to find us. So that's always helpful.
Tell your friends, tell your family, like and subscribe. That's the first time I think I actually said that.
Tell your enemies too. Make sure
tell the people that you might get into a card game with, that chop off limbs with. Maybe send it their way. They might like this episode. Fred's got his lighter up right now. 10 times, Fred. 10.
I gotta do it 10 times.
So I don't do it 10 times.
Yeah.
All right, gang.
All right.
Well, next time.
Until then,
we'll be in
We remain.
will remain in the
crypt.
We have got to get our
I
down.
have it together, Tim. You're always fucking it up. So let's do it one more time. In 1, 2, 3. We remain. We remain. God damn it. We remain.
In the crypt.
Take it. Take the win.
All right. There we go. Bye.
Bye.